A caravan is making its way from St. John's, Newfoundland to Victoria, British Columbia, carrying a group of women who live in the shadow of AIDS. The tour is sponsored by the good folks at the Stephen Lewis Foundation.
I'm standing here as an individual, a young woman who is orphaned by HIV and AIDS, but I'm representing all the orphans who are orphaned by HIV and AIDS and all the vulnerable children.
It is an honor, Grandmother Regina and Kuli, to have you here as representatives of the grassroots organizations that we work with, and representatives of your communities and representatives of the many grandmothers and granddaughters we fund in 15 African countries.
The love from my mother, it's unique, it's everlasting. I miss my mom every day and every minute. My mother passed away early this year on the 25th of January. She passed away because she was HIV positive.
I took this child when she was 9 months old. We had just buried the mother who had 4 other children. And my aunt, who was grandmother in these children, was saying, I haven't got it in me to be able to look after this baby. What is going to happen? And we were all sitting there as cousins and sisters and said we divided the children as if there were some bread to cut slices out of. Then I ended up having to take the 9 months old. The elder child to this one that I adopted was infected, and we buried her at the age of 14 last year, January. But this one, as I always prayed God, that yes, it's not that I'm afraid of looking after an infected child, but can you please save her?
In order to have an HIV-free generation, we need your support in preventing it and sharing this knowledge, not shutting down these people who are infected. Loving them and giving them support is what they mostly need.
They know what they need, except they cannot get it. And this is the part that I find is very, very sad. And we're trying to help them and do it in our own little way.
Talking to people in Canada is helpful in the sense that it gives you the comfort of knowing there's somebody who cares out there, somebody who is sharing the burden with you. The services that we're giving people in their respective homes, washing them, feeding them, sometimes some of them having been left unattended for days in that helpless conditions they would be found in. We had to train younger generation of younger people that were joining the organization, and we established a training course which got accredited.
In about 2005, the Stephen Lewis Foundation started to realize that many of the projects it was funding in Africa, especially the most successful ones, had grandmothers involved, and they started to sort of look at this. And so they started to spread the word through their Canadian friends here. And a few grandmothers started groups specifically to aid the Foundation's work with grassroots projects in Africa that were helping to support grandmothers. Lots of the people who belong to grandmothers groups here are not grandmothers, they are what we call grand others. So other people who just want to be part of that grandmother campaign and movement.
Community after community, this caravan wouldn't happen if there wasn't people to receive us. We'd come into each community and think, this is why it works. This is social justice in action.
What you're part of and what this caravan is supposed to, frankly, generate more of is a movement in Canada that truly parallels the groundswell and the tenacious, sophisticated response to AIDS and the AIDS pandemic at the grassroots in sub-Saharan Africa.
We've got a family in Canada, and our relationship, we are exporting and importing love, care, and support.
Our second leg are 3 brilliant women from Malawi, Maness, Ruth, and Rosemary.
Those songs we are singing here, we sing them home when we are comforting each other.
Consol Homes, from starting as a community-based organization, it's now a fully registered non-government organization. And from the 120 children that it started with, it's now serving over 30,000 children in 1,200 villages.
I lost my father, and that time I dropped out of school because of poverty. But now I go back to school because of Consol Homes and OAU. OAU, it means Orphan Affairs Unit. This is a group of youth who are vulnerable person and orphan who belongs age of 10 to 18. The main theme of OAU is that to encourage each other on education.
We're so far away from the grandmothers. We're so far away from them, but I'm happy that we understand, or at least a little bit understand of what they're going through.
Right.
And the little bit that we can do here to help them. I know it's hard to say why we really do this, but I think we just love it.
We love it.
I'm a grandmother, a mother, a father, a grandfather. They say, any problem you face, that's your stepping stone to go forward. And you become strong when you are in problems. So all grandmothers back home, they are very strong nowadays. This grassroots organization, there is Consol Homes back home. It is doing wonders. A grandmother now, her face is full of joy because she got a relief from the organization. They are supporting us.
Why is it important for the Canadian people to hear directly about the work that you are doing?
To keep on hearing like news on the TV, news on the radio, and all those newspapers. You know, it's something else. Hearing firsthand, it's really, really important. That will also change their minds and attitudes about HIV and AIDS as a problem.
We are focusing our mind, we are going forward. Because if we keep on saying, why is it happening? We won't achieve anything. But if we say, what next? We'll have an answer.
It is the first stop of the last leg of the caravan, and we're so honored to be here in Edmonton, and it is the first stop for Tabile and Tandika.
I was 12 years old when my mother died. I was supposed to take care of my young brothers and sisters.
Can I sing a song? I'm tired, I am weak, I am worn. Through the storm, through the light, lead me home to the light. Precious Lord, take my hand, lead me home. She can continue.
It is my wish that I go back to school and complete my education so that I can enroll as a nurse and help other orphans who are facing the same predicament as I'm facing.
I will fly away within a twinkle of an eye. I've been greatly affected by the pandemic. I lost 2 brothers, I've lost cousins, I've lost a sister whom I dearly loved. I've lost grandsons, I've lost daughters, I've lost even my husband. I will fly away. We have seen a change. We have seen people adhering to treatment. We have seen people
getting the knowledge about the HIV. We have seen people saying, I'm so glad I'm able to look after my children, even though that I'm HIV positive. My mother was a member of the SWAPOL organization, which is known as Swaziland Positive Living, an organization that is actually in the community at grassroots level, helping and assisting the people in Swaziland.
We organized the AfriGrand Caravan because of how inspired we are by the work that grassroots organizations in sub-Saharan Africa are doing, by their courage, their resilience, and their strength in turning the tide of HIV and AIDS.
At the foundation, we cannot take funds that we actually need to put in the hands of the grassroots organization doing this work and fund the caravan, but we are lucky to have generous organizations and people and communities supporting us, such as CAW, who've generously donated a van through Chrysler, and CIBC, who is covering the incidental expenses.
We see this as an opportunity, again, to join in common cause to build social justice, but also to offer our members the opportunity to engage at a grassroots level.
I was so terribly moved by what the grandmother and the young woman had to say. And I think that really came across to the youth who are here.
What can a student who's in my position right now in second year university do?
We can advocate so that if we make political change, and we can fundraise.
The Dare to Remember campaign is a great way to get involved. You take on a dare and raise money.
I'm running a half marathon on November 7th. Not a runner.
So my dare is going to actually be, I'm organizing a boot camp next week, Wednesday.
The dare that I organized is going to be a 50-kilometer relay run.
Dare, it will be money well raised and money well spent.
Recently they had the UN Assembly where they said they are now going to reduce donor aid to Africa. If you are saying you are going to reduce, it means those efforts will be like taking millions and millions and just throwing them in the ocean. We don't want to raise a generation to the graves, but we want to raise an HIV-free generation.
Why did we choose a grandmother? As I mentioned earlier, they are truly the unsung heroes of Africa. And why a granddaughter? Because the granddaughters are the first ones to be pulled out of school when their parents are sick. The granddaughters are the first ones who have to step up and be the head of a child-headed household. And with our support and with the work on the ground that's being done by grassroots organizations, it will be the granddaughters that will lead Africa out of the AIDS pandemic.
Kungenxa yakho Jesu, usimile nje, siyakholwa kungenxa yakho Jesu, kungenxa yakho Jesu, kungenxa yakho Jesu, ingani simile nje, siyakholwa kungenxa yakho Jesu, kungenxa yakho Jesu, kungenxa yakho Jesu, ngani simile nje, siyakholwa kungenxa yakho Jesu.